A very good morning to you, Mr. Sam. Thank you so much for finding the time to join us on the program.
Good morning to you, Joke, and thank you for having me.
All right, so let's kick off with yet another impending strike by NUPENG and the possibility of fuel crisis in the country. They are threatening another strike concerning the agreement with Dangote that they said the refinery had reached. I don't know, how did this news come to you, and what do you make of the whole situation?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Um, you see, when the truce was reached on Wednesday, I told some people that look, this thing cannot stand. How can it stand when Dangote has brought in trucks? Those trucks, he didn't pick them on the streets. He bought them. And before he bought them, he knew the implications, right? So it's not like I didn't know that there will be some form of resistance or what. No, he knew from the beginning before he made those imports. So the point is, if you want Dangote to stop his business, what is he going to do with the trucks that he has imported? What is he going to do with the trucks that he has bought with his money? And now you have these people saying, look, if you do this, you throw us out of business and it will create unemployment. Very critical and complex situation. But the truth about the matter is that monopoly from Dangote in the long run is imminent because of the trajectory, what has happened before in this sector also. So the NUPENG people, oil unions and all of those people, their jobs are threatened. Their livelihoods are threatened. Livelihoods of some Nigerians that work under them is threatened also. So
Now,
what are we going to
Mr.
do
Sam, I
as a
believe a
nation?
lot of Nigerians listening to us this morning would want to really understand what this truce brokered was, and how did Dangote refinery, uh, fail to meet its own end of the agreement in just 48 hours.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That it was deception. The truth, Dangote accepting, oh, we're going to do it, we allow them to join the union, his truck drivers. It was a deception. He just deceived them. He knew what he wanted to do even before. Remember, his team worked out on, the meeting at a point on Wednesday. So
Yes.
the whole signs showed before now that look, he's not going to abide by the agreement. That he wants his truck drivers not to belong to unions and all of those. Yes, because there are some ulterior motives around it, right? Even the unions themselves, what they are saying that unionization, that is not the main aim of their protest. It's not because of unionization. It's because of what will happen after now, when Dangote will begin to supply to every nook and cranny, to supply to every industry and plant, right? So it is not going to work for the organizations, the unions, the NUPENG, Pengsin, Nogasa, and all of them. It's not going to work well for them. So the resistance they are putting up is what they should do. But mind you, the resistance they're putting up is against Nigerians. Because if Dangote goes ahead to supply directly to consumers, the price of the products will come down. But what we're looking at is the long run effect, the national interest. That's what we're looking at here. And that is where government needs to come in and really wade into this situation. Because in the long run, the adverse effect might even surpass what we think we are gaining by Dangote supplying directly, because of job losses, the insecurity that is associated with it, and all of those. So government should indeed, as a matter of urgency, wade into this matter. I don't have any problem as a Nigerian allowing these unions to have some slice of the business on Nigerians. What has already been doing? What has been happening all this while is that they get some chunk when they take their supplies from Dangote and other refineries and now take to the consumers. There's some form of cost difference, which is their profit, and that has sustained the nation in so many ways, insecurity wise, job creation wise, and all of those. So if all of a sudden the rug is pulled off their feet, there will be crisis. So what I'm saying here,
Mr. Sam, it appears that there is some sort of cover up for what the actual bone of contention is in this situation. It is beyond stopping workers from joining NUPENG or any other union. Dangote had, recently stated that joining these unions is not compulsory for their workers. And meanwhile, NUPENG, on the other hand, is accusing Dangote that of asking its truck drivers to remove union stickers from all their trucks. What exactly are we looking at? Is there something underneath that is fueling this brawl, or is it just the issue of unionization?
Thank you so much. I said it earlier, that is not unionization that is the matter. What is the matter is beyond unionization. Removing sticker and not belonging, how would he just within 48 hours reverse himself, right? After saying, okay, we're going to unionize, we allow them to unionize, and all of a sudden he has changed his mind. That's why I say that even before he imported those trucks, he knew the end. And one thing about Dangote is he's so large. His dealings with NMPC and all the war that erupted and all of those, at least we can see how it ended. Because at the end of the day, I would say that he was the winner, because they carried them and all of those people were removed, right? So in this same case, and he has been doing this all over, he did it in cement and all of those. So it's not new. What is going on is not new to Nigerians. The only thing is that Nigerians are also considering the effect of throwing these guys out of job, because these guys are presenting unionism. That is not the problem. The problem is that the transaction itself will throw them out of jobs. That's what the issue is. But they can't come out with that because, it will look funny, because Dangote is doing business and he wants profit. So you guys are doing business and you want profit. So if he has an upper hand in the trajectory, there's nothing wrong with that. But let me say this too, when they talk about unionism. I was in the bank. So we in the new generation banks, so to speak, at a point, we are not part of unions. In fact, the Lumelus them brought those things in when Standard Trust and all those Allstates and all of those banks came on stream. They said, look, we will not be part of. So the union banks, the first banks, we are doing that, even while we are not part of it. But today, I think everything has collapsed. I don't think there's any union in any bank right now. All the Nubife and all of those unions are no more. So what it means is that it is possible that an organization can operate without belonging to unions. That one is possible. And it has happened
Sam, what
before.
is the way out of this debacle? We cannot continue to allow two organizations, the NUPENG and the Dangote refinery, to hold Nigerians to ransom and continue to instill fear of a fuel crisis in Nigerians every other 2 market day. What exactly can be done to forge ahead? DSS has brokered a deal. Dangote reneged on it. What is a possible and viable solution to this?
Yeah, thank you so much. You see, government has to come in very seriously too, and they have to look at the implications of Dangote doing what he wants to do, supplying to end users, right? And they have to call him to order. They have to tell him, in fact, they should broker it in the sense that even when Dangote is allowing these guys to move the trucks to do their business and supply to end users and all that, they must look at the price difference, what the guys are going to get. Possibly they look at it to the point where what they were getting before might reduce. But to throw them out entirely will cause chaos. At least the first thing that will happen is fear scarcity. And you know, when it happens, the whole nation is at war with itself, as it were, because the price of everything will go up. Some people won't even be able to get to their offices and all of those. So it's a very critical situation. And that this is where you know the power of government, the power of governance. The government should come in and look at the dissect the situation so well, because it's not difficult to handle. It's not. We know what they are all both dragging, and you come to the middle and place them there, and everybody will go home happy. If the unions have been getting 2 naira on their supplies, they might be getting 1 naira. While some part will go to Dangote, having done a good job by putting up a refinery and running such refinery. You know, so that is where I see some resolve, right? So let them look at the implication, the cost implication, the profit implication, you know, because all they're dragging about is profitability. That is what is business. Without profit, there's no business. So let them look at that profitability and slash something from the union side, because you know they make so much money when they do those.
In talking about profitability and the possibility of slashing prices, Mr. Sam, this morning in the news, on the front page of the Daily Courier, we saw that Dangote has slashed petrol prices in the country to 841 naira. This is quite good news for Nigerians or for motorists who go to filling stations to purchase petrol. And a number of states were listed out. The entire Southwest, Abuja, Kwara, Delta, Rivers, Edo are the first set of beneficiaries of what Dangote Refinery had called a free fuel scheme Monday. We don't know how it's going to come about, but eventually I'm sure Nigerians will start benefiting from that. Isn't that a move in the right direction from Dangote Refinery?
Indeed it is. What Nigerians are looking for is anything that can reduce their hardship. And anything that can reduce their hardship, no matter where it comes from, they will be happy to embrace it. But then the bigger picture is what we should also not ignore. And the bigger picture is this war that is on, where the unions are saying, look, you are throwing out of business. And that is where we must factor in something. We must look at their own end as well. You know, this reduction in price and all of those, you know, in the long run, if these guys are thrown out of business and Dangote monopolizes the ecosystem, right, it will get to a point where when Dangote increases his price, nobody can challenge him anymore. So let us look at those things, short-term effect, long-term effect, and balance the situation, because we've seen it here before, you know, in the cement industry and all of those. You know, when you say, oh, I will slash, and you're allowed to slash and others go out of business, and after some time you now hike your price, who will challenge you? Nobody. So that's the risk in running away from reconciling the situation as it should be. That's the risk. But for him to reduce, where Nigerians are happy, is a good step in the right direction.
Well, an interesting take you have made, but let's still talk about the oil and gas sector and the fact that Dangote Group in itself has been accused severally of trying to monopolize certain industries. It did that in the sugar industry, did that in cement. Of course, we have Boa also contending by the side. But in the oil and gas industry, are we seeing a similar occurrence, that monopoly of business power and control by Dangote Refinery when it comes to this situation?
Indeed, there is. There is indeed. You see, I've said it earlier that the long run effect must be dissected, and that is where the monopoly is coming from. The monopoly is coming from the long term effect, because by the time these guys are out of business, nobody to challenge him. He can now hike his price and be running with it at the detriment of Nigerians. So the earlier those issues are resolved, the better for both Dangote, both the unions and Nigerians, because a great gift is always very dangerous in the long run, right? And that is what it looks like we are trying to get now from Dangote. So it's better the government handles it head on and make sure that Dangote will get his own portion of the cake while the unions will get their own. So that at every point in time, there is always a buffer, so that nobody will go home, cruising home with everything. It's very important. There must be some form of competition. There must be some form of getting somebody on his toes, right? So I think that is what we should do now. So, but for monopoly, in the long run, the signs are there.
Well, while we talk about, there's CNG trucks that Dangote is about to roll out for the distribution of petroleum products nationwide. A lot of times on this program, people have called for, rail line haulage of petrol or diesel. Is this a possibility? And also, do you think that maybe beyond just Dangote refinery, the federal government via the NNPCL could adopt this measure to curtail some of these issues that continue to arise as a result of, trucks plying our roads every now and then?
Thank you so much, Chijoke. You see, that is the way to go. That is the only way, as it were, to go. Because, you see, in fact, when this truck issue started coming up, I was like, wow, we are still talking about trucking when rails have taken over all over the world. And you begin to look at, is there anything that is happening behind the scene? Because when you say, oh, let's build rails where all these logistics will take place, some people will lose out, right? And it's looking like this also. Remember the period of generator everywhere. Some people, some powers that be, made it impossible for light to be in Nigeria. Power was nowhere, and generators were thriving. And the case then was that, some Nigerians, importers of generators, we are benefiting from the no light situation in Nigeria, right? So generator everywhere. But you can see what happened recently, the unbundling of the power sector that has reduced the quantity of generator. I tell you something. I have a house in Enugu, right? In the last, it's up to 1 year now, my family has not used generator. That is the difference. That is the reality on ground. We've not gone to any generator repair shop for anything. The generators, I have 2 generators that are there. So imagine the situation. Imagine the difference. That is the same thing we are talking about here. If we do trucking, logistics, and all this through the rails, all these issues will die. They will just evaporate classically. You see, we are not even assessing the truth because of personal interest. Personal interest. That's what it is.
Personal interest from whose side, Mr. Sam?
Yes, from the players, the operators of the economy, as it were. Because you understand one thing. When somebody is at the front, there are some people behind that are benefiting from it. Because it's a game where, this person is putting out 4,000 trucks and is working well. There are some people too behind the scene that are benefiting. So is a cabal thing. Is a cabal thing. And those are the people that are holding Nigeria to ransom. And if we have opportunity, if we have some strength from somewhere, like these unions are trying to do, to push back, why not? Why not? We've suffered so much in this country where they've been using these tactics, to deceive Nigerians and make their money. Let them float railways and let all these logistics pass through the railways, and everything will be fine. At least I've mentioned this, the power sector, the unbundling. See what it has brought. We've not used, my house has not used generator up to 1 year now in Enugu. Go and find out in Enugu. Even when they take light, you wait for it to come. Right?
Oh.
That is what it is.
So there's been massive improvement in that sector due to the unbundling, something you have called for several times.
Yeah, that is the truth. I am a witness, I'm a beneficiary.
All right, Mr. Sam, let's move away from the oil and gas sector and head to Delta State, where a very comical yet serious situation is happening. Now, we hear that Delta civil servants risk punishment. This is as the government has outlawed beards, artificial hair, and artificial nails in the civil service of the state. How is this news coming to you?
Thank you so much. It's very exciting. You see, many years ago...
Why is it exciting, Mr. Sam?
Yes, we must be decent. We must be decent. I tell you something. All these nails you see them fixed here, if they go outside the country, they don't use them. I have people that live in the UK and in the US and all those. Oh, let me tell you something. When those ladies are coming back to Nigeria, when they come here, they do those things. They tell you that they don't do it over there. You know, that is a case of decency. That's a case of national identity, as it were. Having an identity, saying that, oh, look at how Nigerians dress. Look at how Nigerian women look. You know, that is an identity. Many years ago, I walked to, I was in the bank, and we went for marketing at the Ebonyi State House of Assembly. And the lady that was wearing trousers, they stopped her from coming in many years ago. They said they don't allow such in the House of Assembly premises in Ebonyi State many years ago. I had somebody, as a matter of fact, is my wife. When we wanted to do wedding, and we went to a church in Owerri, an Anglican church, because she was wearing trousers that day, they didn't allow her in. Right? In the schools now, there are uniforms. My daughter is a law student in Imo State University. They've told them that, look, their skates must be long enough. As I speak now, we are cutting materials to make skates for her, so that they won't be wearing all these rubber skates that will always pull up and pull down. That is decency. I'm telling you, it is a good one. Let us
now,
stop
Sam,
all this.
while we call for decency, while we advocate for decorum in our civil service and in our society in general, it is also important to note that some of these calls might be trampling on, the human rights of these individuals, the freedom for them to wear what they want as long as it is not indecent or revealing. I mean, artificial hair isn't something that is revealing in any way. Extensive artificial nails have always been there, for quite a number of decades now. And the sporting of beards isn't something that should be considered rascal as long as it is well groomed, well trimmed, and well kept. That is the argument here, Mr. Sam.
Yes, I agree on the condition of the issue. But you know that when you make law, you don't make law to create also room for it to be violated, right? We say yes. They say in law that there's no rule that doesn't have exception. Yes, they can point out the exceptions, which I think should be there, right? They can point out the exceptions. But one thing is that even when you talk about artificial hair, Chijoke, I've seen some ladies, even I don't know whether you watch them on television, they put the one that covers one of their eyes. And I say, look at, who sees this lady now? Eh? Some of those things are sometimes irritating. And then all these long nails are also, I don't know how when you see them, I hope you wouldn't want your wife to have those things, but we are men. We know what we want. We should be able to say, look at the decent way to do this. So I believe that there must be exceptions in this general rule, as it were, in Delta State. so that it won't look as if you're trampling on people's rights and all of those. Yes, the human rights issues are there, but then we must begin to look at things and we must begin to change. And let me say this, because it has been happening over the years does not mean that the change cannot come, no matter how late, right? No matter how late. After all, when we were in the university, there was nothing like dress code. Yes, but today, universities are talking about dress code. So it must start one day, and that is what we are looking at here. So if Delta has said so, I tell you, some other states, look at what's happening right now in Ima and Abia. They're saying, oh, students, because they've been exploiting these students, parents, you do your work in your workbook, you do this so that your siblings that are coming up will not use those books. You do and condemn. I passed through it, but thank God right now that policy has come out. So all this rascality in the system, government must come into it and check them, because it's costing parents a lot, it's costing the nation a lot. So do you know that this you're talking about, yes, is even leading to prostitution by women, because one hair can go for 2 million naira, 1.7 million.
Mr. Sam, your take on this is so rather a little bit too extreme. But let's picture this. I am sporting a beard and I'm on television. I appear on national TV every morning. If I were to be a civil servant in Delta State, can I legally challenge this declaration made by the state government? Perhaps take them to court and say that as long as my beard is not rough, as long as my beard is not, looking a certain type of way that is not appealing to the eyes, I am allowed and permitted to sport my beard. Is this a possibility?
They can challenge it in court. There's nothing wrong with that.